Welcome to the Crawlcast. I'm your host, George Krawczak, and these are my predictions for WWE Crown Jewel 2025. So first, I kind of want to establish a couple of things. Number one, this pay-per-view really doesn't matter, because if you look at it, no titles are being defended, nothing's really on the line, because the only thing on the line is the Crown Jewel Championships, and no one really cares about that. Like, for example, Cody won it last year, and I think Liv Morgan won it last year, and no one cared. Those titles were never seen again. It wasn't seen as an accomplishment, just no one cares. So this pay-per-view is basically just a setup for Survivor Series. So I'm going to kind of use this as a kind of a pivot saying, okay, what will this lead to in terms of Survivor Series? Because again, no titles are on the line, nothing's really at stake, no one really cares about this pay-per-view. So if you like this type of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button like it owes you money. Now let's get started. The first match is Bronson Reed versus Roman Reigns in an Australian street fight, and I think Bronson Reed is going to win. So yeah, Bronson Reed versus Roman Reigns in an Australian street fight. So I think Bronson Reed's going to win for two reasons. Number one, it's his hometown. He's Australian. It'd be nice to see him win in his hometown because it'll be interesting if people boo or cheer him because he is a heel. But it is his hometown of Australia, and people tend to boo or tend to cheer their hometown people. So the next reason why I think Bronson Reed is going to win is because it feels like he kind of needs this, because he's been looking like nothing but a loser for the past several months. Like, look at SummerSlam. Him and Braun Breaker lost to Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Then at Clash in Paris, he lost to Roman Reigns. Is he really going to take a third pay-per-view loss in a row? Like, maybe he will, but they're trying to build him and Braun Breaker as like the big muscles and the super strong guys for Seth Rollins, but they've been looking like nothing but weak, and they've been losing a lot. And I understand that at the last pay-per-view they did beat the Usos, but it felt a little bit weird because it was a botched ending and it just didn't really look right. But overall, I think Bronson Reed needs this win. And then where do we go for Survivor Series? So clearly they're setting this up for War Games, and I think it'll be Seth, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, and possibly Jey Uso, because they seem to be teasing a Jey Uso heel run, so maybe Jey turns on Roman, that's a possibility, and help Bronson Reed win. And then I don't know if they're doing 4 or 5. If I remember correctly, I think they typically do 5. This is kind of my hot take. I don't really like War Games just because it feels like it's only set up for one sort of story where, okay, the heels dominate, then the baby faces come back, and then the heels win. Because, like, for example, everyone loves the comeback story, and if you have two baby faces beating down the heel to start the match, you're like, well, I guess I'm kind of rooting for the heel because the odds are against them. And then also, I don't like it that the match doesn't start until the end, or it's like no one can get pinned, no one can submit until the very end, and I just don't like that. So overall, I think they're setting up Seth, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, probably Jey Uso, and then maybe someone else who I can't think of right top, maybe LA Knight on one side of the War Games, and then maybe on the other side you can have Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, CM Punk probably, and then two other people who are yet to be named that we don't know, maybe Jacob Fatu. So overall, I think Bronson Reed really just needs this win because he's been losing to Roman Reigns a lot, and if they're trying to build him up as like on the level of someone like Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, he needs this win because he kind of feels a little bit like the odd man out, where Braun Breaker looks like the future of the company. Seth Rollins is the current main event guy of the company, whereas Bronson Reed, he's just kind of there, and he feels like he doesn't really provide much, so I think he really needs to win here. The next match is Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, and I think Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are going to win. So you have Io Sky and Rhea Ripley versus the Kabuki Warriors. This one I kind of went back and forth on. Ultimately, I chose Rhea Ripley and Io Sky because it is Rhea's hometown, so it's going to be a nice hometown moment. She's going to be super over, but overall, this match doesn't really mean much. I kind of wish like the Kabuki Warriors were built a little bit better, like they could be a strong tag team, but overall, it feels like Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are just it's going to be the nice, feel-good babyface win. And that's kind of all I got to say about it. Like, Rhea and Io are obviously single stars, so their tag run isn't going to last a little bit longer. But it is weird because they're kind of too good for the mid-card titles, but Io was just champion, and Stephanie Vakir just started her new title run. So, like, I don't think anybody wants to see Rhea to immediately take the belt off of Stephanie right after she won, but she's kind of too good for the mid card. So I don't know if they need to maybe transition her over to SmackDown and then potentially have her beat Tiffany for the title, but I don't know, it just feels like they're kind of in a weird spot where they can't really be the top champion, but they're not good enough for anything else. So maybe they do have this just weird middling mid card run, because that's kind of what Charlotte felt like, where Charlotte felt too good for the mid card, but nobody wanted to see her take the title off Tiffany. So now she's just in a weird little tag team with Alexa Bliss. So maybe they do that for a little while until we get to like maybe the Rumble, and then they start going their separate ways and start trying to go for the top women's title. I don't know. Like I said, they're just in a really weird spot, and I just think Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are going to win. The next match is John Cena versus AJ Styles, and I think John Cena is going to win. So you have John Cena versus AJ Styles. So this is a match I'm really looking forward to. The one thing that concerns me is like the hype about it, where like AJ's talking about how this is gonna be such a good match, and I understand everyone wants to see it, and I want to see it because I think it will be a good match because those are probably the best matches of John Cena's career. The Rumble and Money in the Bank and SummerSlam versus AJ Styles. Those are three of the best matches of his career. And AJ Styles has always been his great rival because it's like Mr. WWE with John Cena versus Mr. TNA and AJ Styles. So it feels like they just kind of fit perfectly. And AJ is still one of the best workers in the world. He is really good. John Cena, I think, has definitely lost a step. That's why it's kind of like a lot of finisher spamming. But hey, that's not necessarily terrible. So I do think John Cena is going to win. The big question is that to me, well, hold on, let me just say, I think Cena's going to win because it's going to be like a nice feel-good moment for Cena. And, you know, it's his last time in Australia, last time wrestling, I think outside the United States, because I don't think Survivor Series or the two Rumbles, and I know his final match is going to take place in DC, so, or I'm sorry, the two Raws, and I know one Raw is in Boston, so I think this is the last time wrestling outside the United States, so I think it's just going to be a nice feel-good moment for him. The big question for me is, does his other opponents potentially get involved? Because when we look at who his final opponent can be, we got a few options. I see people talking about Brock Lesnar because, oh, John Cena got destroyed by Brock Lesnar, so he wants to come back and overcome the odds and face him again. I think that's extremely unlikely because I think they basically admitted it's the last time they're doing their feud, and it's just that. And I was really disappointed having a Brock squash match. I get it. You want Brock to kind of look strong because Brock's going to be here for a while, whereas Cena's done in December. And that made me think a little bit about AJ, like potentially AJ winning because AJ's going to be here for the next year, where Cena's done in December. But so overall, I don't think it's going to be Brock. You have a shot at Edge. Like, they're talking about how his contract's up in September, which is now done. But then there's also talks about like injury. And maybe Edge is going to be his final match, so you want to push it back, maybe tease that at Survivor Series. So I think Edge is a possibility. I don't think he'd get involved here, but certainly a possibility. You also have Dominic Mysterio because John Cena going for the Intercontinental Championship because that's the one title he didn't defend. And then also I think Gunther, just because Gunther's not doing anything at the moment, and Gunther's just so great that you want to see Gunther again. And then I think you also have a shot at Seth because Cena has 5 appearances left. This one, he's wrestling at Survivor Series. He has one Raw appearance, which I don't think he'll wrestle. He has the Raw appearance in Boston, which I do think he will wrestle someone. And then he has his final match, which obviously he's wrestling. So I think that's 4 matches left if you include this one, and then one just standard Raw appearance. So it's going to be interesting how they do this, because I can see it go either way. Again, his final opponents, I think, could be Edge, could be Seth, could be Gunther, and then could be Dominic Mysterio, or kind of slash whoever's the Intercontinental Champion. Because I'd also like them to run back CM Punk versus Cena, but I don't think that'll happen because I was really disappointed in the finish of that because what happened in it is they're wrestling, and it was an okay match, and then it ended with Seth getting involved. And so that's it. It never really had a conclusion. Cena didn't really beat Punk, and Punk didn't really beat Cena, and so that was really disappointing me, where it felt like a match centered around CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, not CM Punk versus John Cena. So I don't know. I think this will probably be a clean match, and they'll probably build the other feuds later. But there's always a possibility someone can get involved at the end, and I don't think not during the match, but at the end, where it's like when Cody beat Cena and Brock returned. I think it'll be something like that, where they'll have a big return come out after the match and say, okay, this is his next opponent. The next match is Stephanie Vaquer versus Tiffany Stratton, and I think Stephanie Vaquer is going to win. So you have Tiffany Stratton versus Stephanie Vaquer. I'm picking Stephanie just because it feels like she's building momentum, and she's right at the start of her reign, whereas Tiffany feels like she's kind of towards the end, where like I think Tiffany's kind of a little bit overstayed her welcome as champion, but the problem is that I don't think SmackDown really has a better option. Like I thought they were gonna go with Jade Cargill, and I fully understand the argument that she might not be ready yet, and I totally get it. Where she needs to improve in the ring a little bit more, improve her promos a little bit more, and she might not be ready to carry the company. But there's no one really else on SmackDown. Like, people already said they don't want Charlotte. Nia Jax really can't do it. So this is the point where I'm thinking maybe you put Io or put Rhea on SmackDown to then take the title from Tiffany. So I am picking Stephanie because she is at the start of her reign, build momentum to when she eventually loses it, and also she's probably going to hold the title for a little while. And then, again, Stephanie seems to be towards the end, but they're just not the right person to take it off her yet. The main event is Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, and I think Cody Rhodes is going to win. So this match is very interesting, so keep in mind nothing's really on the line, no titles, no nothing. But Randy Orton is 100% going to turn on Cody Rhodes, and so this is why I'm saying Cody Rhodes is going to win, because think of the ending. If Cody Rhodes, or if Randy Orton turns on Cody Rhodes, then the kind of ending shot will be Seth Rollins celebrating his win over Cody Rhodes. Whereas think about this, Cody Rhodes wins, okay? Seth Rollins and the Vision are all taken care of, they're removed from the picture. And then, as Randy Orton's celebrating with Cody Rhodes, he then RKO's him and holds up the WWE Championship to end the show. And then at Survivor Series, you have Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. To me, that just makes sense, and I think that's a good idea to just have that as your final shot, Randy Orton holding the WWE Championship. And again, this match is going to be interesting on how it sets up War Games, because you have Seth Rollins and the Vision, so they're obviously going to get involved. And then Randy Orton, I don't think he's going to be involved in War Games. I think him and Cody are going to be doing their own separate thing, but he's going to get involved to help defend Cody. And then you also have Punk, who says he hates Seth, so he might get involved to set up for War Games. And then Roman, and then the Usos. So I think at War Games right now, you probably have Seth, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Jey Uso, and one other person who I can't think of yet. I just simply don't know. Versus probably CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, maybe LA Knight. Like, it's unclear what side he's on. Like, maybe LA Knight joins Seth, and he's the fifth guy. Or, I don't know. This is a little bit messy, but... So, overall, like I said, I think because of the closing shot, it's going to be Cody Rhodes winning. So those are my predictions for WWE Crown Jewel 2025. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think will win? Who do you think will lose? What ideas you have for the future? And if you like this type of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button like it owes you money, and I'll see you on the next one.